He's got smiles on his face. He's excited to do this in the Countach. And then he proceeds to get in the car. And he's sitting in there and he's all bent over like this. And he goes, okay, I can do it. I said, Gary, you got to realize you're going to have the laptop, the phone, all the other stuff that we need in order to find where, because you're my navigator. He's like, well, and I said, all right, I have an idea. So I remember being in at the La Bella Macchina d'Italia. Oh wow, this would have had to been in 2006. I was sitting at a table with a guy named J.J. Sanchez and Monty Patterson. And anybody in the Lamborghini world knew Monty, God rest his soul. They were great people. And sitting at one of the dinners we were having, they're sketching out this thing called the Fireball Run on a napkin and talking about it, and asked me if I wanted to be involved. And of course I was like, nope, don't want to get involved. People go flying around and crashing cars and stuff. I've seen different big rallies and whatever, and thought, no, I don't want to be involved in that. Well, come 2007, they did their first, I believe it was the first year they did Fireball Run. By this time, I've gotten pretty cozy with a lot of people who show up at La Belle, and we become friends, and even with the Ferrari guys, awesome people. And there's a video on a little TV that they had sitting on a thing, and it was talking about this Fireball Run they did. And when I saw it, I thought, wow, is that what you guys were talking about? And they're like, yeah. I said, oh, that would have been cool. I would have done that. And he said, well, come do it. JJ Sanchez says to me, you should come do it with us. I said, I'd love to. He goes, well, go online, fill out an application. And if we, I said, I ain't filling out no application. You want me to do it? You invite me. You invite me, I'll go. If you don't invite me, I'm not coming, but I'm not filling out an application. So this is in June. I believe the Fireball started in September. There were a lot of requirements you had to have done. So you had to have a competition motorsports license. There were driver's training things you had to have and some other things. And so JJ says to me, he says, when you're at the track, I'd like to ride with you sometime. I said, okay. So we're up Pocono Raceway and we're driving around the track. And I absolutely love the Pocono Raceway. I think it's a wonderful track. So JJ says, am I going to be able to ride with you? I said, yeah, come on, get in. So JJ gets with me and we're riding around the track and he's going, holy shit, you really drive this thing. Nobody else drives Countachs like that. So I was like, yeah, well, that's what it's made for, right? We got to go fast. And this is where I do my fast. And so we did it. And so at the end, of course, he said, I think you really should do the Fireball Run. So I said, well, like I said, if you invite me, I'll go do it. Well, I get home and later that week, I don't remember if it was a phone call or an email from him, but it was JJ asked me if I wanted to do it. And I said, yes, I would do it. I said, the only thing is I got to find me a co-pilot. I called up a buddy of mine. He owns a InfoWorks company. Everybody knows him as Gary the Geek, and they just affectionately call him the Geek. But I call him and I said, hey, I got to do this thing called the Fireball Run, and it's in my Countach, and it's 9 days that we have to be gone. You want to do it? And he goes, yeah, I'll do it. I'm like, before you say that, you might want to come because Gary's like 6'5" or so, something like that. He's a tall guy. He's not thin, but he's not fat. But you know, he's a big guy. And I'm like, you might want to come and get in. So Gary comes up to my house and he's got smiles on his face. He's excited to do this in the Countach. And then he proceeds to get in the car. And he's sitting in there and he's all bent over like this. He goes, okay, I can do it. I said, Gary, you got to realize you're going to have the laptop, the phone, all the other stuff that we need in order to find where, because you're my navigator. He's like, well, and I said, all right, I have an idea. So ended up removing the seat, taking everything out, opened the front where, because there's a little footrest for the passenger. We took that out. He put his feet up in there. So he was able to sit a lot more comfortably. And we put a little cushion in there and everything. So we end up doing the Fireball Run. For those of you who don't know, the Fireball Run was an adventure rally. It was actually paced at the speed limit. They actually say if you get caught doing egregious speed, which you were outfitted with a GPS locator, they would just call you and tell you to go home because they didn't want to be one of these statistics of people crashing and having hard times. So in 2008, I did the Fireball Run called Back to the Track. We went everywhere from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, zigzagged across country, 3,500 miles, all the way up to Grand Rapids, Michigan. We had every city in between. We did the Louisiana State Troopers test track where the troopers hone in their skills for how to pursue. Got a lot of pointers from those guys. We did a drag strip where I wasn't really trying to drag the car, but I was teamed up with a guy who I hold dear to my heart. He's a good friend of mine. Call him Doc Nye. He owns a DeLorean that's made up to look like Back to the Future car. He was next to me and he took off. And he must have put the pedal to metal in his DeLorean, which is about 80 miles an hour, 83 miles, I think is top speed. But when it started to pass me, I was like, oh, hell no. So I dropped down into gear and took off. That was fun. Got all the way up to Grattan Raceway, everything in between. Then drove back from Grand Rapids, Michigan, back to Bel Air, Maryland. But the whole premise to the Fireball Run is searching for missing and exploited children. Several of those stories from there where people see a flyer that was passed out by it, they recognize a kid. There was one in Florida where the lady recognized this kid at one of the parks that her grandchildren played for. She was able to call a tip line, and after they did their due diligence and figured out it was the right kid, they were able to go and reunite that kid with their family. So another kid who, simply because a flyer was passed out with some of them in the police cars that led us through some of the towns. One night a cop pulled over a vehicle with simply a tag light out, noticed a little kid in the back, and that the kid matched the description on the flyer. They were able to get that kid back, and mid-Fireball Run, we received notice that the kid was rescued and was on a flight back to his family, which everybody was emotional at that point. And then to know that after we did the Fireball Run sometime later, the little girl that we had emblazoned on the side of our car, not only was she found, but also her sister. Whether we had a direct relationship to that or not, it's unknown, but it was shortly after the Fireball that we found out that she was found. Her and her sister were found in Mexico, of all places, and returned back to her family. Throughout its inception, I don't remember exactly how long the Fireball went on, but I believe the number is that 50-some children were helped to be reunited back with their families, so kudos to that. Yeah, so when I get back to home and stuff, I left all the stickers that we had emblazoned on my car. They were vinyls that were pressed on there, and it was such a profound experience that I decided that I was going to memorialize it. So I grabbed a poster board and meticulously took all of them off of my car, one of each, and stuck them on, and still have the picture of the poster board for the little girl that ultimately was found. And to this day, I have it on a poster board in my home. Just a notch in my belt, I guess, to know that I at least was part of it in some way, shape, form, however minute it may have been, that we were helping to bring awareness that this poor girl had been wrongfully taken from her home where she belonged, and that she and her sister were returned home. Being in a Countach for 9 days, anybody who's been in one know they can be a little bit daunting. There are times where you look and go, I don't want to do this today. But we had such an amazing time getting to see places that I may not have gone to see, like Buster Brown's grave, the spot where Bonnie and Clyde were shot dead by police, and that's what it says right there on this spot. Bonnie and Clyde were shot dead by law enforcement. Meeting such incredible people who I still try and keep in touch with to this day, who are just great all-round people. But to be in a Countach for 9 days, again, with especially the anniversary edition, I know a lot of people say that the banana seat is much more comfortable to the sports seat. I don't know. I never had one. I mean, I've been in them, but I've never had one to sit in for 9 days. Mine, while it was wishing I had a little bit more comfort for my butt, I did put a little lumbar support in there, sat a little bit further forward on the seat, was able, once you get that seat dialed in and the mirrors set up right, I don't care. I saw out the car. I could still see out the back. I did sit on the sill to back the car up, but mostly that was for make sure I didn't hit somebody else's car, and also for the crowd because they just love it that when you do it that way, so why not? I absolutely love driving it for 9 days. I'd do it again. So next person that gets it, you need somebody to go with you. I'll be happy.
When you get a ticket, it might look something like this, but the first thing that you need to do is take a picture of that ticket and send it to 305 305. That will get the ticket clinic on your case immediately. They've got brick and mortar offices in Georgia, Florida, and California, but they can help you find a ticket no matter where you get it in the United States by helping you find a local attorney that will do everything they can to help you avoid costly fines, insurance premium increases, points on your license, risk of suspension, even jail time. They've helped me out with this ticket and many others, and a lot of my friends as well. So check them out now at the link in the description below, or again, text your ticket to 305 305 to get the ticket clinic on your case. They are the perfect partner in your fight against any speeding ticket.